Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user White Thunder 9. My daughter's friend, both 12 years old, stole her expensive pants. Not sure how to handle the situation. Some background to start. We have been family friends with the Smiths for about 4 years now. We have kids at ages that mesh up perfectly, so it's always a good time when we get together. They're great people that we trust. They have a daughter we'll call Carol, and we have one we'll call Laura, both 12 years old. Laura is a bit shy, but the kind of girl who opens up and has a great time with a best friend, which Carol is. Laura is also very organized and clean. She knows where all her stuff is, and it is exceptionally rare that she misplaces anything. Anyway, a few weeks ago, we had Carol over to swim with Laura in our pool. Before they went in the pool, Carol and Laura were in Laura's room. At some point, Carol started looking in Laura's dresser, apparently just browsing. Laura was a little weirded out by this, but didn't think too much of it. Carol at one point says, "Wow, these are nice Lululemon pants." Laura had gotten them about a week prior as a special going back to school birthday gift, and they cost about $100. She was very excited about them, so they talked about them briefly, then Carol put them back. The girls went out and swam for a while, then came back inside and changed. Carol left her bag in Laura's room while they hung out for another hour or so. When it was time to go, Carol went and got her bag from Laura's room. The next day, Laura was absolutely freaking out before school because she couldn't find her pants. She looked in every drawer, looked in her sister's drawers, looked through her dirty clothes, the laundry room, everywhere. The pants were nowhere to be found. We certainly didn't want to assume the worst of Carol, but somewhat related, Laura did mention that Carol was wearing a different friend's Crocs, which she had said borrowed from said friend. So my wife and I decided my wife would call Carol's mom and do the old benefit of the doubt conversation, asking gently if maybe Carol had mixed up Laura's pants with her stuff. Carol's mom said she asked Carol about it, but Carol said she didn't have the pants. So we went back to a theory of they were misplaced. But several weeks passed and we still didn't see them. Again, very unlike Laura for something like this to happen. Then, yesterday at school, Laura sees Carol wearing what suspiciously looks like her Lululemon pants. She notices the logo on them on the lower back, the pocketless design that her pants had, the same color, etc. She's pretty sure they're hers, especially considering the implication in Carol's first reaction to them, that she herself didn't have pants like that. She asked Carol about the pants, mentioning they looked a lot like hers. Carol seemed uncomfortable and it seemed like she was trying to hide the logo on them. At one point, Carol lagged behind the group of friends they were in and it seemed like she was trying to fold the top of the pants down so the logo was less visible. Laura had previously told another friend named Sarah about this incident, so Sarah was on close watch at this point too. Later in the day, Carol, Laura, and Sarah were in class together and Sarah observed that the logo had been cut out of the pants, which was definitely done since they had seen her hours earlier. Laura had a look too and saw the exact same thing. My wife and I discussed it at length and decided that even if it creates an awkward wedge between our families, we will call again and mention what Laura witnessed. So my wife calls Carol's mom, who at the time was in the middle of a school-related event. So when my wife explained the situation, the response was, "Huh? Okay, I'll check later tonight and get back to you." It seemed a little more casual than she expected. Today at school, Carol seemed the same as usual, like nothing had happened. No mention of the pants, no mention of her mother talking to her about it, nothing. Laura, being the non-confrontational person she is, didn't say anything about it either. We have not heard from Carol's mother either, and it has been over 24 hours. Now what? So now we're not totally sure what to do. Do we wait another day or two? Do we call a third time and up the rhetoric a bit? My wife hasn't used the word stolen yet, but that's only because we thought the hint, so to speak, was obvious enough that she would at least tell Carol, You need to give those pants back. Do we just let it go at this point and cut our losses? We had already set up a date to have their family over this Friday for dinner, so now we're kind of dreading that, because if we don't say something between now and then, and they don't say anything to us, we're going to have that in the back of our minds the whole time and not be super thrilled about it. Not to mention, we can't trust Carol in our house because who knows what she has her eyes on next. What's the best thing to do here? Well, Opie, as a parent, I wouldn't have had the second conversation over the phone. The first one, sure. Benefit of the doubt and all that, I think that first call went quite well. For that second conversation, and seeming as your wife is apparently more friendly to Carol's mom, I would have asked my wife if she could have taken Carol's mom to get some coffee or something and have a conversation there. And telling her what my daughter saw at school. I understand she'd want to defend her kid, but it's more important to raise them right than to defend them for everything. And I'm not talking about shaming Carol while ringing a bell behind her or anything Game of Thrones like that. But it is the parent's job to teach that stealing is wrong, and she needs to apologize. Now, one thing is for certain, you can't trust Carol anymore, not until this has been corrected. So I think I'd cancel Friday and maybe bite the bullet that this friendship might not recover. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. One Bean, ha 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 ha, says, you know what happened, your daughter knows what happened. However, unless you can prove it or Carol confesses, you are not likely to get them or the replacement cost back. And would you want them back if she's cut the logo out and damaged the pants? So moving forward, Carol is no longer welcome in your home. This might mean meeting your friends elsewhere, but most likely this is going to harm the friendship. Even if Carol and her mom swear up and down she didn't steal the pants, you know she did. It is a good lesson for Laura that she doesn't have to put up with abuse from friends. And Opie responds, thanks for your thoughts. I think you're right. We can be civil with them and meet up places, but no way is Carol entering our house again if she's willing to do that. We're using it as an opportunity to teach our daughter a life lesson. It just sucks that this is how it happened and at this young an age. Wordsmithy says, wow, this is tough. I'd call today or have your wife call if she's more comfortable and say, hey, did you have a chance to talk to Carol yet? Here's the thing. Mom must have seen the pants on Carol when she came home or even when she left for school. She knows she didn't buy her a pair of $100 Lululemons. So if she says Carol doesn't know anything about it, that's when you have to step up. You say, well, Carol's mom, did you see the pants she was wearing? If not, did you check her backpack? Because several people saw her in an identical pair of Lululemons and then later, after she was confronted, she'd cut off the logo. I am sorry to say this, but we are certain that Carol took Laura's pants without asking. This is a big deal. You guys have done nothing wrong, and if Carol's parents won't hold her accountable, you should not let it go. I'd rescind the invitation. This is a problem. I feel for you as a parent, but we can't have a kid we can't trust in our home, especially if her parents are enabling her and won't hold her accountable. Hopefully, Carol's mom is just reeling from this very unsavory new development and will deal with it appropriately when she gets a minute to collect her thoughts. I hope she's not like some of today's parents who refuse to admit there's a problem with their kids. And Comfortable Days says, Carol would not be allowed back in my home until the pants are returned or replaced. Sucks for the kids, but I would rather my kid lose a friendship than enable a thief. And Opie responds, I agree. My wife and I have talked it over and we don't mind if Carol is still Laura's friend, but no way is she invited to our house again. Additional information from OP's comments. Carol's mom is really a reasonable and nice lady. I honestly am not sure what she's thinking by not getting back to us, now going on 30 plus hours. It's bizarre to me, honestly. Either she's just not taking it very seriously or there's something else at play I'm not aware of. For instance, they have had some marital trouble in recent years. Maybe that has come back up and she has her head full of bigger problems. Shrug. Alright, well, the community agrees that OP needs to address this with Carol's mom and that Carol is not invited to the house anymore. Now, we have an update, so let's move on with that to see how the story ends. So, it's been 3 days since my first post, and as I mentioned, we planned to have the Smiths over this past Friday night for dinner. This was just coincidental. The date was set up like a month in advance and a week or so prior to the pants disappearing. It was on a Tuesday that my wife called Carol's, the thieves, mom to tell her my daughter Laura saw Carol wearing her pants at school. Side note, I thought she cut the logo off the waist portion of the pants to hide the evidence. Apparently, it was cut off the calf as well, so it was plainly obvious that there was an effing hole in the pants that you could see her leg through. So there's no way Laura made a mistake in seeing what she saw. Anyway, Carol's mom made no mention of this all the way until Friday when the family was over for dinner and she and my wife were alone chatting. During this chat, Carol's mom says, "So, the pants. I asked Carol about them again and she said she hasn't seen them. I went through her drawers and couldn't find them. I know when stuff gets lost at my house, it's usually in a sibling's drawer." My wife said that she got that we checked every drawer in the house at this point and they were nowhere to be found. Carol's mom then asked, "Did you check under the couch? We find all kinds of things there at our house." Yes, she really implied that the pants were under the effing couch. My wife, somewhat bewildered, said, "We're pretty sure they're not there." And Carol's mom just went, "Huh, so weird that they're just gone." It was a bit more lengthy of a conversation than that, but that was the gist of it. So at this point, my wife is just trying to process real time what's going on, which is harder to do than you might think, especially when the whole family is over and having fun and you don't want to make a scene. So she basically just dropped it at that point. My wife and I talked about this for a long time that night, and in the interest of brevity, here are the conclusions we came to. 1. Carol's mom is not taking this nearly as seriously as she should, not just because we're out $100 pair of pants, but because her daughter is clearly a thief and a liar and she doesn't want to acknowledge that. 2. Carol and her mom have insufficient respect for the property of others. 3. Carol is never invited to our house again. That means the Smiths can't come over all together again because Carol would be included. And 4, the Smiths might not be in our lives anymore. We are still trying to feel this one out since their son is in our son's class and we love him and have had no issues with him, but it will be hard to have him over without this incident stewing in our minds. So we still need to give that some time. For now at least, we're calling this case closed. I know some of you are effectively screaming at me, "Justice must be served!" Yeah, I was. And you may be right. That might be the best thing, to confront the issue again and get Carol's mom to cut us out of their lives or actually do something about this. But considering the amount of effort we, mostly my wife, has put into this thus far and the amount of additional bad blood it could create to really dig into this, we just have no desire to take it any further. We talked it over at length with our daughter Laura as well. We told her that she doesn't have to cut Carol off as a friend, but she has to act under the assumption that Carol will steal from her given the opportunity, and that mistrust is going to be a problem in maintaining the friendship. She was totally understanding and in agreement, but said that she didn't want to cut Carol out of her life. She eats lunch with her in the same group of 4 to 5 friends basically every day at school, so it's not exactly an easy thing to do without a lot of drama. We also took Laura to Lululemon this weekend and bought her the same pants again. We told the clerk about the situation and you should have seen the look on her face. Probably looked like what you're feeling as you read this. Some mixture of disbelief and rage. It just really sucks to learn this about a friend. That they're like this and don't share what should be obvious values. My wife has vented this situation to 2 other moms and both were just absolutely appalled. She feels bad about essentially gossiping about the Smiths, but it has been dominating our thoughts all week. And having someone validate that we aren't the craziest was really good for my wife. So now we're sort of at peace with it and letting it go. I appreciate the huge amount of input I got on my last post. I wish I could have responded to more of you, but the post was locked. Well, OP, of course it sucks when this kind of things happens because it erodes absolute trust, and now it's the whole family in question, right? I mean, the parents for not doing something about it and coming up with that lame excuse. I would actually check under the couch. It could be that Carol's mom is just trying to save face because it's really hard to admit that your child is a liar and a thief. So maybe she told Carol to hide the pants under the couch or something like that. But it'd be weird if she hid them with a hole on them. In any case, thanks so much for sharing, OP, and here's wishing you guys the best. Now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit entitled Parents, and it's by user No Departure 102. Entitled Mom hits my car, doesn't exchange information, runs away. So I, male 22, was driving last week to go pick up my younger sister from school. I recently just got a car as a graduation gift, and I pride myself on taking good care of it. So back to the story. I was at an intersection, and my light just turned green. I move, and out of nowhere, a car to my right completely ignores the red light she has and strikes my passenger side. I get out of my car, a little in shock, and the woman, who I'd say is about in her early to mid-30s, starts yelling at me. She then asks loudly, "Why did you go through the red light?" I respond, a bit nervously because she looked pissed, telling her that I had a green light, and she said, "No way, I was texting and just as I put down my phone, the light was green." I'm trying to explain how I had the green light, and then I processed what she just said. Her two kids are yelling at me too, saying that their mom was always right. One of them, a son who I think was probably 12 or 13 years old, got out of the car. He said I was at fault and that his mom did nothing wrong. I am going to assume he was also on his phone since, again, I had a green, she had a red. Her daughter also shouted that I was in the wrong. I asked her for insurance information because I was trying to calm down the situation as fast as possible. She then went back to her car, as did her son, and then they just sped off. I realized then she also had no plates, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I called the cops and a tow truck, and people who stayed behind to check on me validated my story to the cops. My parents are also going to kill me since they paid a lot of money for the car. I have a job too, but it doesn't pay a ton hourly, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford some of the repairs, but it thankfully wasn't totaled. I don't want to be constantly borrowing one of my parents' cars, but I am really pissed that she had the audacity to A. text while driving, B. proceed to attempt to gaslight me, and C. run off without exchanging insurance information. Although it's probably unlikely she had any seeing as she didn't have plates. Well, first of all, it's a good thing nothing very serious happened to you. I mean, I'm assuming you're sore or something like that, but nothing life-threatening. That's always a good thing. Her texting while driving, yeah, complete a-hole of a person. Now, if I was in your shoes, I'd start asking the people that were there if anybody has a dash cam or something I can get like a picture of so to try to identify her. And what would you guys do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. ADM Weird Beard says, "Welly, that is called a hit and run and is a crime in most places that I'm aware of. You were a victim of a crime. Report it. Your parents should be happy to see you safe and glad to help you pursue this." HockeyFan32 says, "Your parents are not going to kill you. This is what insurance is for. Cops need a description of the car. It is not your fault. The other woman committed at least 3 crimes by your description." And OP responds, "I can tell you that where I live, we have some of the harshest penalties for texting while driving in the country." And From Heli says, "Report it to the insurance, the police, and the school. Ask the school if you can look for the children's photos in last year's yearbook. You would be surprised at how often culprits are found through their yearbooks. Also, if you have time, park near the school at pickup time and look for that car. All you need is a plate number, which they may have by now, or take a picture of the VIN number. It usually shows through the windshield on the driver's side. That VIN would be all you need for a police report. You can even take a picture of them and ask the person working the gate to stall them while you call the police. Good luck!" And OP responds, "Different schools. They were a public school family. I saw the sticker for the school. And my sister is a private schooler and I was still 10 minutes from picking up my sister." Well, I think the community gave OP some pretty good advice, and it turned out that OP can actually figure this out. He knows the school the kids go to. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. So, after my car was towed, I went straight to the police station. I gave her and the car's description. Thankfully, there were cameras, which frankly I hadn't seen before since they were all hidden. They have the footage and they know what to look for. They sent a police car to that school and they quickly identified her car. Entitled Mom has been arrested for reckless endangerment, driving with an expired license, driving without insurance, and hit and run. Apparently, this is the third time this woman has done this, and her driver's license expired 3 years ago. Talk about being a criminal. So, I'm taking her to court for destroying my car and then trying to blame me. Alright OP, you got the culprit, and wow! Third time she's done this. Yeah, she's definitely a criminal and she knows what she's doing, so hopefully you get justice at the end of your trial. Take care OP, and thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.